The worst part was how ordinary it felt at first. The ice in the glass clinked softly as Ava stirred her cocktail with the end of a pencil she couldn't find a stir, and honestly, didn't. Her apartment was still half-packed from the move. Her couch was a thrift store reject, and the only artwork on her walls was a half-hung poster of the cure peeling from one corner. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She just wanted a drink and a quiet night. The gin was cheap, the lime old, and the soda flat, but the burn in her throat was comforting. She exhaled and slumped deeper into the cushions, letting the silence of her new place wrap around her like a blanket. And then she saw it. A tiny shadow drifted lazily through her drinka, speck with twitching legs. A bug, small, barely noticeable. Ava wrinkled her nose. Gross. She sat up and, with her free hand, dipped her pinky into the glass to scoop the bug out. She figured it was just a gnat or a fruit fly that had kamikazed into her cocktail. No big deal. But the moment her finger touched the liquid, she froze. It wasn't the chill that surprised her. It was the color. Her nail polish bubblegum, pink, freshly done 3 days ago, began to ripple, like ink spreading underwater. A creeping line of black shimmered out from the center of the nail, expanding with the slow, deliberate weight of spilled oil. What the hell? She pulled her finger out, droplets trailing down her skin. She rubbed at the nail with her thumb. The black color wasn't just sitting on top, it had become the polish smooth, glossy, like a fresh coat, only wrong. She stood and rushed to the kitchen sink, flicking on the light. Under the yellow glow, her nail looked even darker, almost metallic. She grabbed a sponge and scrubbed. Nothing. Then she reached for nail polish remover, soaked a cotton pad, scrubbed. Hearted the black didn't budge. Ava stared at her finger, heart thudding slightly harder than before. The bug had drifted to the edge of the drink and now lay belly up, unmoving. She peered at it. It wasn't a gnat, it had too many legs, and its eyes, as they were, seemed too dark, like 2 pinpricks of obsidian sunk into its translucent head. She shivered. A creak came from behind her, just the apartment settling. She told herself, but she still whipped around, breath held silence. Ava shook her head, suddenly embarrassed at how tense she was. It's just nail polish, she muttered, just reacted weird to the drink. Still, she wrapped the glass in a napkin, placed it in the sink like it might bite her, and went to the bathroom for a better mirror. The pinky nail had stopped changing, but the color was deeper than anything she'd ever worn. It shimmered like beetle shell. Look to lie! She held her hand up to the mirror. It reflected normally. That should have reassured her, but something in her gut twisted, like a slow-turning key. She got back into bed, turned off the light, and promised herself she'd laugh about it in the morning. She didn't sleep that night. By morning, Ava's first thought wasn't about the black nail, it was about the smell. Something sharp hung in the air, metallic and sour, like overripe fruit left on a radiator. She sat up slowly, blinking the crust from her eyes. Her mouth was dry, her tongue thick. A hangover, maybe, though she hadn't drunk enough to earn one. She glanced at her pinky. Still black, not dull, not chipped, not even slightly faded. Worse, it had spread. The nail on her ring finger now carried a faint gray sheen near the cuticle, like ink bleeding through paper. Her middle finger too, though only barely. What the hell? She whispered. She pressed her palm to her forehead, feverish, and her fingertips tingled faintly, like they'd fallen asleep and were just now waking up. She walked to the bathroom in bare feet, trailing the scent of damp earth and sweat. The mirror didn't lie, her nails were definitely darkening. Only her thumb and index finger remained pink, but the rest were gradually shifting to black. She turned on the faucet and ran cold water over them, half hoping it was some elaborate dream, but the cold didn't change anything. The dark polish shimmered under the bathroom light like oil slick on asphalt. She picked at the edge of one nail with the other. The polish didn't lift, didn't flake. It wasn't on her nails anymore, it was in them. Her cuticles, too, had changed. The soft skin surrounding each nail was dry and cracked, like soil during a drought. It stung when she flexed her fingers. Tiny tears were forming where the skin used to be supple. Ava hissed and grabbed her bottle of lotion. She rubbed it into her hands, but the moisturizer sat on top of the skin like it didn't want to sink in. Frustrated, she turned toward the sink can, noticed the glass from last night still sitting there. The napkin she'd wrapped around it was completely soaked now. The bug had drifted to the bottom and was stuck like a melted raisin to the inside curve of the glass. She picked it up carefully, trying not to look directly at it. There was something off about its shape, too many legs. A segmented tail, transparent wings that twitched even though it was clearly dead. She suddenly had the thought, what if it's not dead? She dropped the glass with a clatter. It didn't break, but the noise rang through the apartment like a gunshot. Ava backed away, heart pounding. Her hands trembled, then her phone buzzed. The screen lit up on the bathroom counter. A message from her friend Lynn. How's the new place? Send pics. She stared at the screen for a few seconds, thumbs hovering. Instead of replying, she turned the phone over. She looked back at the mirror. The gray had deepened. Her ring and middle fingers were now entirely black. A sick thought crept in. One she tried to bury. If it's spreading this fast, what's next? Ava left the apartment just after noon, hands stuffed into the sleeves of her hoodie like she was trying to hide a crime, which wasn't too far from the truth. The nail polish, or whatever it was, had now spread to every finger except her thumbs. It wasn't just color anymore. The surface of her nails had changed, texture becoming unnaturally smooth and reflective, like polished obsidian. When the light hit them just right, they shimmered with an oily rainbow sheen that reminded her of gasoline puddles. She kept her head down as she walked the 2 blocks to the nail salon. Her breath fogged slightly in the unseasonably cold summer air. Or maybe it was just her. The glass door chimed as she stepped inside. The scent of acetone and lavender filled her nostrils. A woman in her late 30s looked up from the counter and smiled. Walk-in Ava nodded and offered a tight smile. Yeah. Emergency removal. The woman, her name tag read, Nina, gestured toward a station. We've seen everything. Trust me. Ava slid into the cushioned chair, hesitated, and then slowly pulled her hands out of her sleeves. Nina's smile faltered. She took one of Ava's hands gently and turned it under the light. Her brows knit. That's not a brand I recognize. You said this was gel? No, it was regular polished, pink, drugstore brand. Nina paused. This is black now. Yeah. Nina tried to file it. The black surface resisted the emery board with a hiss, like stone under metal. She frowned and reached for stronger tools. When she tried buffing it with an electric drill, Ava went, not from pain, from pressure. A sensation like humming deep in her bones vibrated up her arm. Nina pulled her hand back quickly, eyes wide. Did you feel that? Ava nodded. It's been like that all morning. It hums. Nina looked genuinely disturbed now. This isn't Polish. I know. She tried soaking the nails in pure acetone, but after 10 minutes, the black surface was exactly the same, only glossier. That's when it happened. As Nina began inspecting her cuticles again, one of the cracks split open just slightly and a thin trickle of black liquid oozed out. It wasn't blood. It looked like ink or tar. Nina gasped and dropped Ava's hand. Ava clutched it to her chest, breath quickening. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have come. I thought maybe it was just you need to see a doctor, Nina said, standing up and backing away from the station. I did this to myself, Ava whispered. I touched something. Something? Wrong. Nina didn't answer. She was already halfway to the back room. Ava stood and left without paying. The glass door swung shut behind her, but she barely heard it over the pounding in her ears. Back home, she scrubbed her hands raw. She poured dish soap, vinegar, baking soda, anything gone to her nails, and scraped with a toothbrush. Nothing changed. Worse, now everything she touched, stained a doorknob, had a smudge. Her phone screen showed streaks, no matter how many times she wiped it. She picked up her pillow black fingerprint, like prints, along the edges. It was like she was leaking something. She opened the fridge for water and stopped. A single bug, just like the one from the drink, was perched inside on the shelf. Watching her, she slammed the door shut. Her nails shimmered in the light overhead. Longer now? Sharper. She turned off the lights and sat in the dark. Her fingers glowed faintly. Ava hadn't left the apartment in 2 days. Every light was off. Every reflective surface either covered or broken. Even the fridge door had been taped over with newspaper. She wore gloves now. Cheap. Fingerless ones, because full gloves made her sweat and smudge, and because fingerless was all she had. Still, even that didn't stop the blackness. It bled through the fabric, like ink through gauze. It wasn't a polish anymore. It was a presence. Her nails weren't just darker now, they felt heavier. Sometimes she swore they moved just before she told them to. A delay? Like the signal passed through something else first. She hadn't tried to sleep since the mirror smiled back at her. The hallucinations were getting worse. She couldn't tell if the whispering at night was real or not. But there was one last thing she hadn't tried. Her laptop hummed to life in the dark as she sat hunched at the kitchen counter. The keyboard sticky from her fingers. She used a pencil to type. She posted a thread on an obscure occult forum she used to lurk during her weird goth years. Nothing she'd ever taken seriously. Until now, she titled the post, "Nail polish that won't come off, won't stop spreading. Feels alive, helps." She attached photos. Just the nails. Just enough to get someone's attention. Then she waited. An hour passed. 2. She nearly closed the laptop when a new message popped up. A private one. From Thecollecta O. You touched a vessel. The bug was the lure. Her stomach dropped. She blinked, reread it. A follow-up came seconds later. They're looking for anchors. Nails are porous. The gloss is the bond. It's not Polish, it's a mirror layer. Once they've spread past the fingers, it's permanent. Ava typed back, hands shaking. What are they? Thecollecta O replied. They're old. They live behind reflections. Behind glass. The drink was a doorway. You reached in, they grabbed back. Then, you need to burn it. The original glass, the bug too, if you still have it. Ava swallowed. She still had the glass in the sink. But the bug? The first one? Gone, it had vanished, days ago. What happens if it spreads? She typed. A moment passed. Then, the final reply. If the black reaches your wrists, they can wear you. They've done it before. You'll walk, talk, breathe like Ava. But you won't be her. Ava stared down at her hands. The black was at the base of her palms. The night was still, but Ava's apartment felt alive with shadows. The black lacquer on her nails glistened under the faint light, spreading relentlessly like ink spilled on fabric. She stared at the glass sitting on her kitchen counter, the original drink vessel. The bug was gone, but the oily black residue clung stubbornly inside the rim. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. No turning back now. She remembered the collector O's warning. Burn the glass, burn the bond, but fire felt too weak for what she was about to do. Ava filled the glass with fresh cocktail ingredients, exactly the same: cheap gin, flat soda, old lime. The mix was bitter and familiar. Her fingers brushed the rim. The black spread a little further up her skin, cold and slick. She hesitated. The idea of drinking the same cursed concoction terrified her, but she knew it was the only way. She raised the glass and swallowed hard. The room spun. Darkness swallowed her whole. When she came to, she was somewhere else. A rotting garden bathed in twilight. Around her, shadowy figures sat at a decayed tea table, their nails long and lacquered black, faces blurred and shifting. A towering figure emerged, the one who shines. Her body was a grotesque fusion of insect and human, adorned with hundreds of blackened fingers instead of antennae. Her eyes were abyssal voids, her smile cruel. You drank their offering, she whispered. Now you belong to us. Ava's hands shook. I won't be your vessel, she said, voice trembling but steady. The queen laughed to sound like brittle leaves snapping. Then offer something else. In horror, Ava looked at her hands, then her eyes. I give you my sight, she said, tearing her hands from the table. But keep my vision. Take my eyes instead. The queen's grin widened. A cold wind swept through the garden. Ava felt her sight fade, darkness blooming from the edges inward. She awoke on her couch. Morning light filtered weakly through the curtains. Her nails were pink. Her hands were light. Her vision gone. She blinked into the soft void. A text buzzed on her silent phone. Hey sis, I got lost. Can you come pick me up? Ava smiled faintly. Not this time, she whispered.